Welcome to the Context Needed podcast, right as Ryan moans down the fucking microphone.
As intended.
I'm Kyle, joined by Mr. Moaning Myrtle Ryan and Ollie, as usual. How are you guys doing?
5 points through the chest, 10 points through the head. Yeah.
I don't know what he's on about. I really don't know what he's on
Neither
about.
do I.
You never watched it? Oh, you've probably never watched Harry Potter.
No, I've watched the movies. I don't remember any of that stuff.
I have. I just don't remember that. No.
I also found the movies not that good, so...
You're not real fans.
I've seen the book as well.
You can find it good, Kyle.
Never read the
They're
books.
The best.
Never read the books.
No.
Books are good.
I don't like the way she writes.
I
don't like the way most Western people write. So
don't get me wrong, right? The Harry Potter books were good. I don't like the way she writes on Twitter. Somebody should just shut her the fuck up. Let's be honest.
Well, just before we continue talking, a heads up: there is probably going to be a during podcast burger delivery, as my order was messed up, and I'm still hungrily awaiting my maple cured bacon burger with barbecue sauce.
You big old burger bitch.
I had a curry tonight.
Ooh.
Nice. I've had burgers 2 nights in a row. I think we should really stop eating burgers.
It was just chicken tikka masala because I'm a pussy, but my local place is a really fucking good one.
Chicken
so
tikka masala
is a good one. If you came to me and you're like, "Oh, I had a korma,"
yeah, then it would be. That would be.
You might as well just drink
bitch.
double cream. No, I do have a tikka masala, and to be fair, like because we have one from this place every Saturday, and they're pretty good to be fair. But sometimes it just varies a bit, and this week it was for a tikka masala. It was actually sort of spicy.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm a bitch, so I'm terrible with spice.
I'm not the best with spice. I'm okay with it, but like, whereas like a korma is always like bitch mode, and then like some of the others are always in like their separate areas. Tikka masala's got a much more wider range of what people would consider a normal tikka masala, because I had one tikka masala from a takeaway once that was apparently mild, and it was fucking burning my mouth, and I was pulling out whole peppers, like, guys.
You have some, and they're like, we usually have a tikka masala jar, like, you know, in those, like, Uncle Ben's jars and stuff.
Oh, God, they're awful.
Or, no, they're actually really good if you cook them right.
I hate them.
My sister
the Lloyd
and my
Gross
dad,
one, I fucking hate them.
Since we've started lockdown, my sister and my dad have actually been getting the sauce, like, putting it in a bowl and putting the chicken in there to marinate first, and then they'll cook it later on, and it's honestly some good shit. It's pretty good.
I'm not big on them.
To be honest with you,
I'd rather have a takeaway curry.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm not a big fan of tinned curries, but I don't cook them at home anyway because I'd be cooking for myself.
They're never as good.
The wife doesn't like them anyway, so
yeah.
Fair
enough. I think 1 second.
Oh, the burger's here.
I think, I'm not sure. We could be wrong. I'll continue. Anyway, we wanted to...
Let's get on to topic.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about today, like, shows from yesteryear that we enjoyed. This could be when we was kids, when we was growing up, when we was becoming adults. And I think the reason I wanted to open this one up is because... for some reason on my Facebook like video feed, it keeps giving me loads of like best of moments from like the Scrubs series, which is probably one of my favourite shows of all time when I was becoming like an adult. Because I literally, I think it was first year of uni, I had a bit of like a period where I was just like, I don't want to fucking go out. I don't want to talk to any of you cunts. I don't want to deal with anyone else. I'm going to sit in my room, drink beer, and watch Scrubs. And that is what I did for like a week. I think I ordered pizza through my window. That's how much I wanted to not talk to people.
What a shot it.
It was one of the, you know, when you get those moments in time where you're like, no, I'm done. I'm gone kind of thing. And that was like a moment in my time for a week. And I literally did that solid of just... drinking beer.
A week seems a bit short. I mean...
Well, it was one of those things. The reason why it was only a week is because lectures started the week into that moment. I still didn't want to go, but I kind of needed to go.
You were pre-recorded lectures where you could just, like, watch them later on.
Yeah. But yeah, so I
They
just
got there. They give you a
Scrubs.
cassette tape. Here you go. Here's a recording of the lecture, lad.
To-
Put that in your Walkman.
You're on an audio course, so to be able to understand what's on the lecture on the cassette, you now need to clean it up and use your effects.
Manually cut it like they used to, where you like slicing bits out and like sealing it back together.
I'd love to learn how to do that because that's a skill.
Bro, it's a skill. But I mean, you don't see it. You don't see it anymore.
It's because it's not needed. I mean, let's face it. What
Yeah,
takes
you
them?
don't need to.
What takes them an hour to do? I literally. Oh look, I press S. I move.
Yeah.
And I move another
Drag.
thing, and then I merge. Oh look, what that takes them an hour. I've done in 10 seconds.
Magic.
Ollie has the zapper.
Sorry, there's a fly, and I'm just waiting for it to come back, and I'm going to destroy it.
There's a lot going on at each of your houses at this point. I
Yeah.
mean, Ollie's being
I'm
swarmed by
zapping flies.
Kai was waiting for a burger.
I live near livestock, so it's just like, hey, lots of flies, have lots of flies.
That's a
I'm gonna
bonus.
supercharge this thing.
Car
I'm gonna
battery.
Wait, what?
Car battery.
You can put like lithium cells, like you get out of like battery packs, into these and put them up into a step-up transformer. I think at the moment, I can't
I'm
remember how
running
much these are.
11.1 lipo with my.
I want to say maybe they're like, I think they're maybe like, I don't know, 5 volt, but you can step
Yeah.
up to about 20,000 volts. Which I mean, like
that isn't
that's
killing
kind
a
of-
fly. That is removing the fly from existence.
well, the problem to this one is that
Obiwa, motion the
what can happen is you can have them in the air and you can swat them out of the air, but really, unless you can get them to stick onto it and hold it on for like a second or so, it doesn't usually kill them. It'll usually, if you just
shocks them.
swat it at them in the air, it shocks them, they drop, and then they kind of recover and fuck off again, whereas I want to vaporize them.
Yeah, you want them to not exist anymore.
I
Yeah.
can remember I was in the office once at my first job, and I got this big A3 roll of paper out, and there was this massive fly flying about, pissing us all off, and I just fucking battered that thing out of the air. I hit it so hard it went into the window and splattered on the window, and that was from like
That's
a
a good hit.
meter away. I was like, "Fuck off,
Bitch!
yeet!" I left it on the window. I was like, I could clean this up, but this is staying here. So
This
flies,
is a
do not mess
reminder
with
for
me.
its friends.
A reminder.
I remember I was once zeroing my dad's air rifle for him when a fly landed on the target, and I hit the fly with a pellet, a 5mm pellet, from about 25 yards. And I was so impressed, I took a picture because there's just a hole, but like a splat to the side of it. And it's just like,
Christ, Robin Hood.
I was like, I am the knight.
This is
Sniper elite.
this is one of those moments where it's like you walk over to the target. Now you done fucked up.
Imagine that being hit by a projectile like the size of your body.
At terminal velocity.
I mean, the range difference would probably be like, if you scaled it, would be like from a kilometer away or something ridiculous as well. It was, I was happy with it. It was a good
You're
shot.
talking mad shit for someone within range of Chris Kyle.
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ. Oh man.
I remember watching that movie, the one with is the guy who does the voice of Bradley Cooper.
Rocket.
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper, yeah.
And I remember I watched American Sniper and I knew of Chris Kyle. I'd obviously heard of some of his bits,
Everybody's heard of Chris Kyle.
but I didn't
Everybody
actually
knows
know.
about
I didn't
Gordon's.
know he was dead. I didn't know he'd been killed because it was one of those things where I'd just seen like what he'd done. Like, oh, he got like this many kills through sniping. He got some really good shots and stuff. Saved loads of his squads through that. But I didn't know he was actually killed.
Who killed him?
It was I think what he would do is he would help people that had come back from their tours and they were struggling. And what they used to do is they used to take them to the range and just basically shoot the shit with them. And I think they took one guy who was at the time very, very like not 100%, and he shot them while they were driving. I think it was. I'll have a quick Google
Yeah,
of this.
I've got it up now. So on the
Oh, you got
2nd
it.
of February 2013, Kyle and his friend Chad Littlefield, 35, was shot and killed by Eddie Ray Roof. at the Rough Creek Ranch Lodge Resort shooting range in Araf County, Texas. Both Kyle and Littlefield were armed with .45 caliber 1911 style pistols when they were killed, but neither gun had been unholstered or fired, and the safety catches were still on. Kyle was killed with a .45 caliber pistol, while Littlefield was killed with a 9mm Sims pistol. Both guns belonged to Kyle. Ruth was 25, Marine Corps veteran from Lancaster, Texas. Kyle and Littlefield had reportedly taken Ruth to the gun range in an effort to help him with his post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
Ruth had been in and out of mental hospitals for at least 2 years and had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. His family also said he suffered with PTSD from his time in the military. On the way to the shooting range, Kyle texts Littlefield, "This dude is straight up nuts." Littlefield responded, "Watch my six," military slang for watch my back. 4 months later, while he was in a jail cell, Ruth shared with former Arif County Sheriff Deputy Gene Cole. "I was just riding in the backseat of the truck and nobody would talk to me. They were just taking me to the range, so I shot them. I feel bad about it, but they wouldn't talk to me. I'm sure they've forgiven me." Like, this is what it does to you. It fucks you up. Fucks you up.
It's messed up, and I mean, okay, the guy obviously had some serious mental health issues that needed help, but he still killed some people, man. He still, and like you said, the guns were unholstered, were still on safety catch. So, like you said, he obviously just shot them in the back of the head with them out without them doing anything.
Yeah.
So, like, but I think it was I watched that entire movie, and then right at the end, it's them. I think it finishes with them like leaving the house to go to the range.
Yeah.
And then it just does a text wall basically explaining what happened to him. And I remember watching this movie and then reading that, and I was like, "Holy fuck! I wasn't expecting that." And it shook me. Like, I wasn't expecting it. And okay, it's a documentary movie kind of thing, but like it still like made me.
It's a dramatization, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing. There's so like people don't realize, like, and there's so many people nowadays who just slate into people from the arm, like, "Oh, you've got no emotions, you've got a thing." It's like, these are real people, you know. They don't just go out there to go and, like, don't get me wrong, there are some people who are nuts and just want to shoot loads of people, but these people don't go out there to just like be like some cold-hearted killers. You know, they're not. That's not what they are. They're humans.
Yeah,
it's just how they want to, what they want to do.
Whether someone believes it's a wrong thing they're doing, at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, every person I know who's signed up for the army or something, they do it because they want to help their country. They do it because they want to help the people that they are part of. And there's nothing wrong in
anyone who tells you that we should
help.
all just, anyone who says that we should just stop having an army is an idiot. I'm sorry. If you think that we should just stop completely having an army in today's day and age, you are just actually just so stupid. It's just ridiculous. I mean, there is no way at this point in time, any place, unless every country ever like all agreed to get rid of the army, which they wouldn't, you'd never do it. It's just stupid.
It has arrived.
You gotta respect him.
It has arrived.
Oh my god. This podcast's just fucking derailed. So hard.
Well, I mean,
it's like just fucking old western fucking train cart robbery, and it's just crashed and burned.
Just briefly, because we was on about like they're just people at the end of the day. When we were saying that, there's one thing that I read earlier today that really kind of pissed me off. Kind of, it was like, so I've been slowly playing through The Last of Us 2. I don't know if you guys are interested in the game or not, but I won't bother saying spoilers. But there's a certain character in that which is, from my position and what I've seen so far, designed to be hated, designed to be someone you do not want to like, you want to hate them. That's what they are designed to be. And the voice actor has been getting death threats and hate mail through Twitter because of her portrayal of the character. And some of these fucking messages, there was one message I read where someone had messaged her saying, I hope your parents die of hard cancer for what you did to so and so character, and it's like,
yeah,
are you all right? Like she plays the character,
it
but
was
she's
Thingy
just
Bailey,
a voice
Laura
actor.
Bailey, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's Laura Bailey she does Critical Role and everything. I think, honest to God, people who send death threats to people are unhinged, and they need like properly checking up on.
they need some help.
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
He needs some milk.
Especially if it's over a fucking video game.
Yeah,
This woman's an actor. Like, she is an actor or an actress or whatever you want to call it.
Actress.
She's there to perform a role. I mean, there's a bloke who played Hitler in a film, but I don't see you sending him death threats, do I? It's just so stupid.
I can't believe what you did to the Jews. It's so horrible.
You do realise that I'm not actually Hitler, you see. It's fucking people.
That reminds me, there's a film, it's a Taika Waititi film, and I cannot remember the name. It's something Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo
We've talked about it
Rabbit.
before,
Jojo
yeah.
Rabbit.
I want to watch
that's
that. It
such a
looks
good
so
film.
funny.
That's a good film. I'd say that is it's a weird thing to say, but that is of all the portrayals of Hitler, that is my favourite.
Well, I mean,
Which is a weird thing to say, but watch the film and you'll know what I mean.
I love his portrayal of Hitler. It's great.
Because obviously we've kind of derailed this completely away from the subject matter, and I don't want us to keep going into like the serious kind of stuff we've been going. Shall we move it back to the TV
Let's
shows?
back onto like TV shows and films.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you said with Scrubs, I mean, I'm a huge Scrubs fan as well. I mean, I'd say I rewatch it every year, and I'll probably rewatch it again soon because it's probably coming up that time. I also did, for my GCSE group music piece, I did I'm No Superman by Laszlo Bain, the theme tune.
Oh, nice. That is one of the most like the catchy introductions of all time. Like,
yeah,
I know people like to call it, oh, but Friends is the best one, but it's like, yeah, but I don't like Friends.
Friends is shit.
Friends.
I never liked
Friends
Friends.
is honestly shit. If somebody comes to me and they say Friends is my favourite show, I don't talk to them.
You are garbage.
The thing that always bothered me about Friends, and it's the same thing that bothered me about Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, I can understand people in comedy shows and sitcoms and dramatic shows making mistakes because we are human, and that's what makes us human, is making mistakes. But when someone is doing something so fucking wrong, even when everyone else in the show is telling them to do something otherwise, and they are still doing the wrong thing, it just doesn't make sense to me. If I'm there like, oh, I want to go and drive my car over here, and then I've got 20 mates going, are you sure that's a good idea? The wheel's going to fall off in a couple of miles, and you'll probably crash. I'm going to do it anyway. It's not going to be funny when the wheel falls off. I've had 20 people tell me otherwise.
It's like Big Bang Theory. American TV shows.
Bazinga.
They literally depend on the laugh track. Like,
I was going to say, have you ever watched it without the laugh track?
I don't want to watch it with the laugh track. It's actually...
Well, no, but there's videos on YouTube with the laugh track removed, and it's just like... if you're someone who watches that show and thinks it's really good... Because I will admit, in the past, I used to watch it. When I was a lot younger, I watched it and I enjoyed it. And then I watched it without the laugh track, and that's like immediate realization of just like, holy fuck.
I'm only laughing because they're laughing.
Dog shit show. It's just like, if it wasn't, it's like, you realize that like half the stuff they do just isn't funny. It's just like, oh, we'll just say something and put a break in it and then put a laugh track.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
I think the most stupid thing about the Big Bang Theory, or whatever it was called, I remember reading something where someone basically said, oh, look, it's a smart show for dumb people. That is exactly what that show is.
What I see is I think there's a big divide between America and the UK with quality of TV shows, at least. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe it's my personal preference of British humour, because British humour is actually funny, not like American humour. But there's so many American
are some
comedies.
There are some like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm rewatching that at the moment with Danny.
I still need to watch that.
I still need to watch that one.
God, that show.
So I started blasting.
I think
that
will
show
kind
is
of,
a fucking treasure. It's so good.
It's such a meme though as well. I feel that show is just like peak meme because I've seen so many memes from it, and it's just like
it's not like, because I've had loads of people like with The Office where like you see all the memes, then you watch it, it's like, oh, this isn't actually that good. Always
I never
suddenly
got into
like
The Office.
No, neither of them.
Me neither,
I don't like
God,
it.
like that is one show I've got to say, like, if you want a funny show, I will say, if you're easily offended, do not watch Always Sunny, because holy fuck, it is not PC. But that's kind of the idea, because they're meant to literally just represent the absolute worst of society. But oh my god, it's such a good show. The first season, it's decent, but it picks up its stride after like the first season a lot. But the first season's still good. But if you're watching it and you're like thinking,
first seasons a lot of the time are always very like rocky, though, aren't they? Because it's like the ground.
Apart from Firefly's first season.
There are plenty of shows out there.
Firefly's first season is awesome, but it's only season because Fox fucked up.
I prefer the last season.
So edgy. I mean, TV shows though, in like comedy divide, like the comedy divide between the UK and America. Well, just like any other English-speaking country in America, like America and Canada are on their own, right? They're just in this kind of like fucking utopia of whatever the fuck they're producing.
Utopia of eagles and cheese whiz.
You've got us in Australia and New Zealand, and we're all just like effing and jeffing like every sentence we make.
Yeah.
And you do that with an American, they're like, "What?
Yeah, you can't say that.
You can't say that. That's
I just
offensive."
did.
I know.
Looks like I don't care.
I'm trying to think. Like,
I think that's kind of like the thing with shows, though, is because we're just so like not offended by things over here in the UK. Well,
generally, I'd say there's becoming a culture of it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like
that's just the Americanization of things.
Being offended means literally nothing. It's just like that holds no weight in any way. Well, that offended me.
All right, shut the fuck up and go away then.
Stephen Fry,
all right.
Stephen Fry has one of the best quotes on Offended. Let me see if I can find it, because his quote,
I know the one you're on about.
Stephen Fry's got a load of good quotes. I mean, when he just absolutely just owns that Irish guy who's like, "But what about God?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's an insect that like crawls into the back of a child's eye, eats it outwards, and then kills them." It's like, do you think a God would make that?
Why?
I don't like him. Even if he is real, he's a bastard. I'm like, oh yes.
There was one, wasn't he said like, if God's real and he's letting all the atrocities that are happening around this world happen, then he's a psychopath, and I don't want anything to do with him. But no, his offended one's the best one I've heard. So this is the exact quote. He goes, "It's never a comment to hear people say, 'I'm rather offended by that,' as if it gives them certain rights. It's actually nothing more than a whine. I find that offensive. It has no meaning, it has no purpose, it has no reason to be respected as a phrase. I'm offended by that. Well, so fucking what?"
Yeah, okay.
Get over it. That's the thing. We're allowing it to, like, words to hurt people more. It's like, all through my childhood, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
It's pretty opposite now.
I remember the joke one, and that was, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will hurt me in more ways than you'll ever imagine."
Yeah.
call me nasty words, mummy.
I mean, like, I can understand, like, if people do get offended by things, at the end of the day, we all have a right to dislike things. We all have a right to like things.
Yeah,
and that's
fine. Be offended.
That's fair enough.
Dislike it over there, where we're not going to annoy you. Then,
if someone, say you are in a game which is a hyper-violent game about war, say Modern Warfare or things like that, and you've got someone in the chat saying, "I'm offended by you calling me names," it's like, you're in a game of hyper-violence and war and blood and gore. This isn't the place to do that. Now, if you're walking down the street, and I have a picture up of hyper-violence, and you say I'm offended by that, and it's in a public area where, let's face it, hyper-violence shouldn't be as shown, then fair enough. Okay, you're offended by that. Maybe I'll curtail this and do my hyper-violence elsewhere. But I think you've got to take the actual context and the position of where you're doing it to understand it.
Always. Context needed podcast.
Yeah.
It's
Context
always what it
needed,
is. It's always
as always.
context needed. I think actually, while we're talking about Stephen Fry, a show that I've always liked, like late school years, then going on to
QI.
Yeah, QI.
Yes.
But you know what?
QI.
I've actually liked it more with the new host. What's her name? The small woman who's like,
I'll have a look
she's
for you.
Diddy. I actually really
I know
enjoyed.
who you mean, but I don't know her name.
I've actually enjoyed her like presenting the show a lot more.
Sandy Toxvik.
That's it, Sandy Tops. I've enjoyed her a lot more than Stephen with how she's presented the show.
I haven't watched it with her, and I
If
really
not,
should.
she's good. Yeah, she's really good.
Do they still have what's his name with the curly hair?
Yeah,
Alan.
they always have Alan thingy. Yeah. I think the thing is though, like nowadays, the only problem is comedians are just getting shitter and shitter. We're not getting that, like you know, when like you got peak comedians, so you had like you had like Al Murray, you got Peter Kay, you've got Mickey Flanagan. He's recently new, but kind of like into the older section.
See, we were on about QI because obviously it was all the comedians. One show that was around big for me around the same time was Nevermind the Buzzcocks.
Yeah, that was funny.
And that
was funny.
Bill Bailey, and
Noel Fielding when he's on it.
Noel Fielding was awesome. You had Mark Lamar, who was when Mark Lamar was the host. It was awesome. And what was it? There was the big guy, Phil Jupitus.
Yeah,
so it was it used to always be Phil Jupitus.
He's funny.
And Bill Bailey having their own
stand-up's
teams.
Quite good as well.
And some of the funniest moments I remember watching, there was one where there was doing the intros round, and Phil Jupitus was in the middle, and there was a woman behind him, and there was one bit where the woman went like 3 times. Mark Lamar instantly caught this. He goes, "I love how you had to check which way of looking around, Phil, was the easiest way to look." And then,
have you seen the one? Oh god,
I liked that because they brought the musicians on as well, though, because you'd always get the stroppy musicians as well, and they'd like.
Well, there was what's his name?
I was gonna say what? Yes,
and Preston walked off.
Yeah.
Oh
that's literally a point of being offended by something. It's like you've chosen to go on the show. You must have watched the show before and seen that they just take the absolute like fucking piss out of everybody, and you've gone on there and then you've got offended and gone off and
stormed off. And then Bill Bailey walked around like a troll to find a replacement. And I remember they found this replacement who looked kind of like him, and they just said, "Look, all you need to do is just sit there, not say anything, and when someone says something about your girlfriend, just say that's not on." Like 10 minutes later into the show, he just pipes up out of nowhere. It's not on that. The whole fucking crowd bursts out laughing.
Yeah, that was so good.
One of my other favorite moments from Buzzcocks was they had a guy from Blazing Squad, and he was the one that was having to guess the intros, and they were doing the intro for House of the Rising Sun. So you had like Phil Jupiter saying like dum 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 dum, and all of a sudden they do it all the way through, and he's got no idea. And then they start doing it again, and then Mark Lamar starts singing it like full blast, singing it, and then starts hitting the desk. And they literally do like all the way through to the chorus, and he jumps onto his desk and starts belting out this song. They finish it, and he just looks straight at the camera. He still don't fucking know it.
God. Oh yeah, that was.
I think that's a key point though in your life, especially in the UK. I feel that everybody who's getting into secondary school, that's when you start watching stuff like Nevermind the Buzzcocks. Have I got more news for you?
See, I didn't watch that one, but I've watched it recently.
8 out of 10 Cats.
8 out of 10 Cats. Then you've also got 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown now, which I think is fucking hilarious.
I've seen clips from that, and some of the words that come up, and you just have, what's the comedian that hosts it? I can't remember his name.
Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, you just have some of the looks Jimmy Carr gives his like contestants are just peak. What the fuck?
Mock the
he also
Week
rips into them.
Oh yeah,
Mock the Week.
I like Dara Bryan.
Especially when it had Frankie Boyle on. Oh,
Yeah.
Frankie
Didn't he
boy.
get banned from it or something?
They banned him. Then the BBC banned him from BBC.
Oh right.
And then they allowed it back.
Expensive.
But I mean, they were just fucking hilarious. Now I've
have
opened the
you-
Racer store.
Have you ever watched Dara O'Brien's stand-up? Because
Yes, he's fucking funny.
there's always one sketch he did that I really fucking love, and he does a sketch about video games.
Yes.
And he basically goes in.
It was on Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, he goes, I love video games because it's the only medium in the world where if you can't do it, it doesn't give you access to the rest of the story. And then he starts going like, you don't listen to like half the CD stops and goes, what are the themes of this music? And then if you don't know it, it just turns off and like you get like a few chapters in, what was the issues with this character? And then if you don't answer it, it just shuts. And it's like, he's there on about Metal Gear Solid trying to climb over a brick and he's like trying to climb over this brick and I got people shouting in my ears like, Snake, you need to crawl under. And he's like, yes, I fucking know, just leave me to it.
Colonel, I'm trying to get over the brick, but I'm dummy fake.
He says like they're talking about how specialist Snake is. Like, well, actually, if you look at his track record, all he's done today is walk up to a wall, jump a few times, walk in a circle, try again, try to jump over the wall. He does a good thing on.
Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say he does a good one about like things for the sake of balance in media as well. Like they're talking about, it's like, now we'll talk to an astrophysicist about the most recent launch to the International Space Station, and for the sake of balance, we'll talk to Mark, who thinks the sky is a carpet woven by God.
I've always found that stupid with like the sake of balance, but before we actually talk about that, because that would be interesting to talk about, because there's a few of those. So David Hayter is actually voicing a character in a game that I've just recently playing called Bloodstained. And like I started the game and it said Bloodstained and I was like, I recognise that voice. And then all of a sudden like, I'm just playing through and I get like an ambush and this character comes in like, stop, wait right there. And it's like, why am I getting ambushed by Snake? Because it literally is. It's the exact same voice as Snake, except it's some like samurai-looking demon hunter. And I'm like, what?
Funnily enough,
Stop right there. This is a dummy fitness check.
I had the exact same thing happen with David Hayter with I don't know if you guys have played The Long Dark.
I've heard
It's like it's a survival game where basically the idea is you're in a plane crash in like the Yukon, so it's really cold in the mountains and you've got to survive. But you can find this, like I played it kind of recently, and you can find this like old survivalist guy. And I started listening to it, I was like, he really sounds like Snake. And I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, it's David Hayter, okay.
That's why.
I think David Hayter should just start doing voice acting, but in random games, or just random little characters. So every now and then, it's like, oh, I've been David Hayter again.
Yeah, it would be like the Rickroll of games, where every now and then it would just be
just
like,
oh, there he is.
it would be like you're playing like a JRPG or something, and there's always like those characters that just repeat the same thing, and you could just walk up to one of them and he goes, man, if only I had a box. And that's all the character says.
Yeah.
Now, where did I put my box?
Colonel.
I mean,
Oh, that would be good.
yeah,
I really
comedians.
like. Oh, sorry. Go on, Ryan.
Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say we're like back on with how we're on about comedians stuff. I think like as we were going on and we were saying about like TV shows and stuff you like. I think we all have like those comedians we kind of like start watching and they become like the humor that we kind of run off. And I think that's probably why we're seeing a little bit more. Oh, I'm offended, because a lot of people that are watching, like, they don't watch TV and they don't watch comedians as much anymore. They watch YouTubers, and a lot of YouTubers come from America, and there's a lot more drama and
I
stuff.
think,
there.
a lot of the issue there as well is like, let's face it, every week you're hearing something about fucking drama alert on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, and
Let's
it's
get
YouTube
right into the
And
news.
I always find it hilarious. Like all these people, like these YouTubers, these streamers, and like fair enough. Obviously, I stream now as well. You stream, Ryan. We all do our own thing. But like most of the people doing it who are part of this drama, they're adults. And now imagine being 30, 28, 35, and being part of what what seems like from an outside perspective, schoolyard drama.
Yeah, it's a playground drama.
Imagine what your boss would say. Imagine if that happened to you at work, Ryan, and your boss caught wind of it. What would they say to you? They'd literally say, both of you fucking grow up.
No, well, actually, no, they don't, because I had an experience with something similar to that, and they were like, "Oh, you just need to be, I'm not done anything fucking wrong. I'm just doing my job, man. Piss off," and just tell them to grow up. It's like, bro, Jesus Christ! Like that's the thing though. Today, everyone's allowed to be offended. Everyone's allowed to be. Oh, but he said something that wasn't quite politically correct.
Everyone, like being offended is just your opinion, and everyone is perfectly fine with having their opinion. But the issue is, when people do that offended thing, they seem to think when they say "I'm offended," that automatically makes their opinion more important than anything else. And it doesn't. Yeah, fair enough. Like, if you're offended, that's understandable. And if I've offended you, let me know. Because if I've done something to upset you that is seriously wrong on my part, I'd like to know so I don't offend you in that way again. But if all of a sudden I say, like, "Oh, I'm going to go to McDonald's. Oh, don't talk about McDonald's. That's offensive because I'm a vegetarian." It's like,
shut the fuck up.
That's a you problem. That's a you problem. But I'm going to go get my food. You go where you want to go for your food.
I think too many people
vegetarian stuff though from McDonald's.
You can. Very inclusive, actually.
Yes.
But I think the problem is too many people are saying like you can't say that when really you should be at most you should maybe be saying you shouldn't say that.
Yes,
you should say
that's a big difference.
Say that. That's like you're giving yourself authority and power over someone. It's like if you disagree, then you should say I don't think you should say that, or that's a more. But too many people saying you can't say that. It's like I fucking can.
That's the thing is like it's like they're saying you physically are not able to say it. Well, I just said it.
Surprise, surprise.
It's one of the like you shouldn't say that. It's definitely where the line should be, because that way then it's not only are you explaining I don't like you saying this in my vicinity, but you're also saying that potentially you are being offensive to other people as well.
The problem is maybe it's just because I'm a bit of an asshole, but if someone gets that way of me, it's like, well, I'm just going to now go out of my way to offend you more.
More of an asshole.
If I offend you, that's fine, and if you act like an adult, I will treat you like an adult. But if you just act like a child, then I'm just going to wind you up like the fucking child you are.
Yeah.
Because that's the respect you deserve.
This is like, and the thing is, though, they've been led to believe that they're able to do that. Like Frankie Boyle being banned from the BBC. It's like, fucking what? Are you stupid? He's a comedian. He's literally here to offend people and make jokes. Like, making jokes is taking the mick out of people most of the time. That is humor.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you like ban somebody from that? It's just making it look as if this is something that's okay to silence somebody else because you don't like it.
There's
such a fascist state of mind. I don't like that, so you shouldn't like that.
There's a brilliant comedian who I found probably within the last year or so called Daniel Sloss. I think he's a British comedian. I think he's either British or Australian. I haven't looked at him enough to know about him that much, but I watched a few of his like clips on YouTube, and then I saw he did a TEDx talk called "It's Only a Story," and he talks about how people are vilifying comedians for making stories.
Oh, he's Scottish.
And he's saying, like, look, at the end of the day, just like anyone, when they make a story, they want the story to make them look good, and they want to be the cool character. And so a lot of comedian stories are very, very embellished. But that's the
without
point.
a doubt.
That's the point, because they need to either over-exaggerate things, under-exaggerate things, or take things so completely out of context that it makes you laugh. Because the whole thing with, I think I read the psychological study of laughing, you don't laugh because something's funny per se. The reaction of laughing is because your brain can't connect what's just been said to you, and it's a knee-jerk reaction to your brain going, I don't know what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
or something along those lines. I'm obviously doing this very ad-libbed and very like second-hand information, but I remember hearing it from someone, and it just like, well, yeah.
I think you are embellishing, and I think you're embellishing that story, Kyle.
And
you're exaggerating the story.
You can't say that to me. I'm sorry. I am offended, so you can't say that to me.
I'm offended. I'm offended that you're offended. I feel like that's a good comeback for that. It's like, well, I'm offended that you're offended. What now?
Yeah, stop being offended. I'm offended by people who are offended.
Yeah. Bitch.
And if you offend me too much and put me in front of a mirror, I'm fucked, because I'll always be offended.
I don't know why, but for some reason, that whole I'm offended thing really made me think of like, you seem like the kind of person that'll play rock, paper, scissors and do that bullshit. Well, it's Dynamite, it always wins. It's like, fuck off.
Dynamite.
Or best of three, best of three.
Yeah, best of three.
Fuck off.
You're the kind of person that brings an egg bot to a Beyblade fight.
You're that type of person who brings an AR to school.
All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. I still remember when I realised that.
If you're offended by that, don't listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I still remember when I figured out or like read that song was about school shootings, and I remember listening to it the next time going,
Fucking lyrics,
holy
bro.
fuck.
The funny thing is, because obviously the idea of that song is to be a really cheery sounding song that's obviously about something very dark. I genuinely, and I think whoever did this must have gotten in deep shit, because I saw it on a back to school advert for school clothes years ago.
Oh wow. Well, the guy who wrote it,
I can't remember who it was.
Well, the guy who wrote it was he did advertising music. He did music for advertisements and commercials, and that's why it was so catchy, because he just took what he had to do for commercials, turned it into a song, and that's why everyone knows that line, because it's so goddamn catchy. Have you, on the note of that song, have you guys seen the I saw it in a Vine where I think it's an Indian guy singing it, but he doesn't know English, so he's like, all the other kids in the Pamparaki or something like that.
There's a YouTube channel, I'm trying to think what it's called. I fucking subscribe to him. And it's I think he might, I don't think he's Indian, I think he oh fuck, what's it called? He looks, I think he's some kind of South American, but I'm not sure where. It could, I want to say it's called Tonga or something like that. But literally, yeah, it's a guy who sings English songs who doesn't speak English. So it's like, it's kind of just sung by ear, and he does so, I've got to find his name now because it's so fucking funny.
There was a girl who did that. I think it was on I saw it through just like a meme roundup video years ago, and I think it was like Pop Idol Thailand or something like that, and a girl like came in dressed up to the gills in like proper show-stopping dresses type thing and makeup and everything, and she goes, I'm going to sing Ken Live, and it's
Ken Lee,
that's the one, and she's singing Can't Live Without You.
I found him, by the way. His YouTube channel is Tongo Official, and he is from Peru. And it is the funniest thing.
How many subscribers does he have?
1 million.
Wow.
I think the Pumped Up Kicks one, was he wearing a green jacket, the one that you've seen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Green jacket, and it looks like maybe a backwards baseball cap. I can't quite tell from the thumbnail.
Yeah, but he always has green screen behind him, doesn't he?
Yeah, Tongo officially. He's done Chop Suey, Numb by Linkin Park. He's done Pumped Up Kicks. He's done Bohemian Rhapsody. That's literally
I need to watch Bohemian Rhapsody just to see what he actually says.
And it's so, because the idea is that he probably does now speak a bit of English through the popularity of YouTube, but if he does, he doesn't speak much, and presumably he probably learns them just by only listening to them, because
it'll be very broken English.
It's not even English, it's just by hearing. For example, Can't Leave becomes Ken Lee, that kind of thing.
Well, it's
that
like when
channel is fucking
when
gold.
you've got the weebs who think they can talk Japanese because they've watched a few anime, but they only know the singular words and they think that will help them. And then when you actually go and try and learn the language, you realize, holy shit, there's a lot to this because it's a different fucking language.
I can say watashi wa, so I speak.
Watashi wa.
Well, that's like, Ryan, you're like ducking, but it's like I went and learned it like in a classroom, and Jesus Christ, like you'll do like a handful of lessons, and then all of a sudden she'll like start talking to you like just in Japanese, and you're there like, I'm picking up words, but my fucking god, nothing is happening up here.
That was what I was thinking of this morning. Is I want to know like what it. You know how we sit there and we hear other people's languages. And like it just sounds like all gobbledygook. I want to know what it'd be like to hear English, but I
have a video for that exact thing.
Oh, is it one of those?
I do actually have a video for that.
It shows you it.
Let me find it. It is literally that. It's how English sounds to non-English speakers. I have it. I have it here somewhere.
Because I've seen such a weird concept to me. I kind of think I've seen. What does it sound like the other way around?
It's really interesting,
like
actually.
But it's done in I've seen ones like that where it's done with like colorblindness as well, where it's like, what does colorblindness look to people who aren't colorblind? I remember showing my dad one of those tests. Like, what does colorblind look to people who aren't colorblind? Because my dad is very fucking colorblind, and I showed him this test. And he was like, "What am I looking at? This looks normal to me." He doesn't notice any difference.
But that video is quite good because, like, it's nonsense, but, like, phonetically similar to English, and then just, like, the odd word, like, thrown in, like...
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, it's what it's like. But there's another good one, which I'll link, which is, what if English was phonetically consistent? And it's so, like, obviously, we have so many different sounds for the letter that's different. So, like, we can pronounce the letter A as A, or E as E, or that kind of thing. And there's a YouTube video where a guy he basically talks through as he does it. And as the video goes on, he applies these rules. So where he'll make every time he uses a letter, he'll only have one sound. And it's like, when you listen to it, you actually realize how our language is like derived from Germanic language, because like you listen to it and it almost sounds like German. I'll link that in the thing as well, because that's a really an interesting one.
What I find is like the bit that makes it so tricky for us is like when we look at a letter, we've got 24 letters. This is me being like really dumb now. 24, 25.
I'm heavily dyslexic. I just get things to read it to me.
So we've got like 24 letters. But when you look at a letter, you look at like A, and that's A. There's just one sound. But the thing is like they're all very distinct letters for us in the English alphabet. We don't put any phonetics on them. We don't put any things. You only see that in different languages, unless you've got like a comma or something and whatnot. But we don't have like you put a line above the A and it actually gets pronounced like fucking O. That's the bit that gets you. Like when I'm doing this Japanese, is there's like one like symbol, but it's got like it's either got two dashes on it or a little circle on it or whatever, and it makes it something completely different.
Well, that's
and I'm like,
thing.
But it's the same thing. It's so tricky, like to get your head around that.
When you especially when you go into like Japanese, like they have so just take.
And then there's kanji, like fuck kanji. Honestly,
well, kanji isn't an alphabet. Kanji isn't an alphabet at all. Kanji is a writing structure and a writing kind of thing, because kanji isn't for letters, it is words, and that's why there's so many of them, and that's why
it's more of a dialect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Chinese.
Chinese.
Kanji literally means Chinese characters, but you can't, if you can read kanji, you can't read Chinese characters because they're different. One of them could be, say, in kanji, could mean flame, could mean door in Chinese, because even though they're derived from Chinese characters, they are completely different. And yeah, that's difficult. That's difficult for us because obviously it's much more symbol based. But when you actually go into the English language and think about it, I went and started doing a teaching English as a foreign language to people. For when I was potentially going to go to Japan for work. and it teaches you that even though we have the simple A to Z alphabet, we are one of the. There's not many cultures out there that use actual grammar in their sentences. They don't use like commas. They don't use all these kinds of different
like Japanese
phrasings.
is all just one big block of text, basically.
And it's the way our grammar works and the way our words can have so many different meanings that really confuses people. And there's some brilliant things on there where there's like a sentence which is literally police, policing, police, policing, police, police, policing, police. And it's like that, to anyone else, it looks like just one word over and over again. But if you read it knowing English natively, that is a sentence. That means something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think language is such a crazy and like beautiful thing at the same time, because it is just the idea that these people were on a different area of the planet and they came up with another way to communicate with each other. And it's you can then derive that into obviously monkeys and apes that are evolving now. They make sounds to each other. To us, they just sound like monkeys making sounds, but actually to those monkeys, that's them talking.
Yeah. Well, I see
that means something.
Have you seen the adverts that you get for like a masterclass and things like that? And there's one of a woman called Jane who's literally like lived and grew with chimpanzees and stuff to study them, and she understands their language.
Is she called Jane?
Jane. Her name is literally Jane. And
Jesus Christ, how optimal is that?
I joked and said, is she the reason why Tarzan exists? And then Becky went and Googled it and she was like, no, Tarzan was a lot longer ago.
Jane's been smashing some gorillas, boys.
Well, I guess it's weird to think about, because obviously you look at English and it's English, French, Spanish, Italian. They're all Latin derived, and then obviously ours is a weird mashup of like Germanic languages and Latin, so it's all a bit weird. I'd say more Latin these days. Like when we learn French and Spanish, you realise a lot of words are very similar. Or like
the
words
French though. I'm sorry.
I picked up French.
Give a word of sex, all right?
Yeah, but the Spanish does that as well, and so does Japan.
Yeah, so does Spanish. Yeah. And I think Italian does too.
It just doesn't seem. It just.
But it's weird to think, as you said, with kanji being obviously it's Japanese with a, which also kind of derives from Chinese. I've never really looked into like the history of their language, so it's kind of weird to think that there's a whole culture of language out there that I just have zero comprehension of what it's like.
To be honest, that it's actually quite a similar situation though. If you look at it, like in history, Japan was constantly going over to China and invading and back and forth, and it's the same here because we were going into mainland Europe and they were coming back over here, and it was a back and forth. That's why our languages are close, and then China and Japan's are obviously so close.
I think I think we also had influence from things like Viking raids as well, because there's
without doubt,
a lot of language. Let's face it, when you get a mishmash of people, it alters everyone else's speech. I mean, just look at us. Like, if you go to a different country for 6 months, you will come back with a slight accent along the same lines as those if you speak that language. Like, if you go to America, you go to America.
An example of that
weeks.
would be, like, I use as a username for a lot of my things. I use Siberian, which is like basically an old English way of pronouncing from Shrewsbury, which is where I'm from. But that name in itself was put into place because the Norman invaders couldn't pronounce the actual name, which was like Scrubsbirig, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pronounce it, so they changed it to Salop-Siberia, which then turned into, even in this area now, things kind of from Shropshire or Shrewsbury in the general area are like Salop. So like there's companies that call, I don't know, Salop Glass or stuff like that. And it's weird that that weird thing that came because the Normans couldn't pronounce our thing is still being used today.
It's crazy when you think about it as well, because the time in which that was probably used, like the Salops period was used as in for a speaking actual aspect, is probably so small, but the effects of that singular word has affected family businesses and things like that, where it's still there, even though it's probably used for, in the grand scheme of things, probably only a handful of years or decades.
Yeah. Well, it's like meme culture though, like yeet.
Yeet.
I mean,
shit like that. I mean, that's
a weird thing, actually.
Yeet is forever.
Yeah,
is the past, future, and
I love the old. There's one where it's like yeet with power and no care, and then Kobe with precision and delicacy.
See, just quickly, just talking about the Old English, it just made me think of the fact that somebody did a version of
you linked it.
Things, but it's in the old English.
I still need to watch that.
Oh, that was good.
So just because you broke up a little, so it's literally ye old English pumped up kicks, isn't it?
What was it? Was it like old Saxon English or something?
Yeah, it's like better watch my arrow.
but it's actually pronounced correctly in the language. Like it's not like they've translated it and translated back. They're just singing it in the old English.
You know for a fact that's someone who studied like Saxon English and then just got bored with his music.
See, it got linked to me. I saw it through Scholar Gladiatoria, who does like all swords and fencing, and there's the other sword fighting they do. Hema. He does all that, and he goes, oh, I've got this sword here today, and he talks about the history of it. And he shared this pumped up kicks. It is fucking hilarious. It's gold.
It is good.
I need to listen to that. I need to listen to that after this, because I never got around to listening to it, and it'd be interesting.
I put it in our chat. I'm now going to listen to it on it because it's gold. It's great.
I think just going back on the history there for a sec, it's weird to think like we're technically we're all likely derived from like French invaders.
We're all foreign, mate.
Yeah,
everyone,
British, mate. We're all
pretty
British.
much everyone in some regard, apart from maybe like people who are African in Central Africa, because their cultures of all the cultures they did obviously people came to them, but they didn't go out.
No,
like all the like you have the Romans, you've got the Normans, you've got the fucking Saxons, Celts, and it's like you could just keep tracing our history back, and we just keep turning into someone else, and it's really weird.
This is what I don't get nowadays. Is people are like, well, fucking British, mate. I'm English. I'm British. England.
Are you though?
It's like get a foot, mate. Get to foot. Like look at the history books, and then come back to me and tell me you're British.
I'm sure there was a study like with loads and loads and loads of different people from around the world looking at like their DNA and like what it could have been from hereditary wise. I'm sure they found out like pretty much, according to the study, pretty much everyone in the world has at least some of Genghis Khan's DNA in them.
Yeah, he raped and pillaged so much.
Yeah,
he was giving everyone a good dicking.
Yeah. So he covered such a great expanse. Like when you look at a map, you think, oh, it's not that big, but then you actively look and realize how much of an empire he controlled and how much he actually raped and pillaged.
Genghis Khan, the fertilizer.
Well, it's. I remember reading something about him as well, where like apparently he only raped and pillaged in order to like keep them under his boot. He didn't actually want to do it. He did it to keep his men in check and make them understand he is boss, or something like that. He
wanted to make sure they knew he was paying the child support.
God, imagine how much child support that would be.
Jesus Christ! Maybe we should write up a bill, and then we'll find his like
his descendant. Yo, by the way, you owe me this much.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Apparently, like when you look at the area of where the Mongol Empire was, in that area, about 8% of men carry almost identical Y chromosomes to men obviously lived, that they've like when they found bodies of people who obviously lived in that time, like it's identical, but that also translates to 0.5% of all males in the world. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think of 0.5% of literally every man on the planet is related to this one fucking dude.
That's
just like Jesus.
It's like everyone's so wound up about their country a lot. Like you'll find this everywhere. There's always a lot of people, and they're like, "I'm American," or "I'm British," or "I'm French," "I'm this." I'm like, shut up. You're human. Get a grip. It doesn't matter.
I love derailing. I love derailing when people are doing that because I'm like, "I'm British. I do this." And I'm Kyle.
Hello, British. I'm Kyle. But she's like, "Hey, I'm a lesbian, but I thought you were American." That's literally it. It's literally it. It's just so stupid. It's such a stupid concept to get so wound up on. When in the end, it doesn't matter.
Well, I was going to say, like, I've just looked up because I remember reading it was on Vsauce, I think. Actually, they were talking about how. There's probably someone in history that everybody alive today is related to. I think it's as recent as something like, it would have been a couple thousand, maybe 1,000 or so years, but it would be like some guy that was alive in like a port in Southeast Asia. But I've just looked that up because I was trying to find that. And apparently, by maths, in 3,000 years, somebody alive today will be a common ancestor to everybody alive in 3,000 years.
That's insane. Bro, I hope it's not me.
That's mad.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for people if it was me.
I think it's just detachment, isn't it? It's like, who cares? My great no one cares. Great granddad. Fuck, does it matter to me? What's he going to do to me?
Yeah,
he's not going to come back and give me some war stories. I can remember when I raped and pillaged. You don't know you're fucking born.
That's okay, Granddad. Okay, sit down and have your hot chocolate.
Mate, you'd be on a drip if he's that old.
Well, I think with that we'll have to close off for another podcast. Bit of a eccentric one today.
This was a roller coaster ride of a podcast because we spoke about nearly everything.
Ollie is flashing me. Ollie is
now raving. What are you doing, Ollie?
I'm actually I've got a battery pack here that's plugged into my computer, and I'm just touching the end of a bit of metal onto the thing, and every time I press the button, it makes my camera flick. Look, come on.
It's not going to work now.
Come on.
This is when he shorts his computer.
Yeah, this is when he just disappears.
There we go. It's fine. It's like 3 volts. I probably just toasted like my USB port on my computer somewhere, but worth.
Probably. No, actually, to be fair, USB ports can do. I think
USBs
what is it?
Use 3 volt.
15
more than that. Yeah.
Well,
you charge your phone off it.
USB 3.0 is 15, I think. Anyway, yep. Yeah, so that's it for another podcast. We'll be back again next week, same time, 9 p.m. GMT. If you've got any questions, queries, or interesting stories you'd like for us to look at, please get in touch with us on the contextneededpodcast@gmail.com email address. But from me, Kyle, and Ryan and Ollie,
I hope you enjoyed this shit show of a podcast. Please share it with all your friends so it gets big, and then I can quit my job and just do the podcast. Please help.
If you listen to this in the year 5020, I may be related to all of you.
That would be very awkward.
If you are listening to this from the year 5020 and your penis is small, I'm sorry. That's my genes.
Sorry, my bad.
Sorry about that, grandson. See ya.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.
Bye.